Hello friends, it's Kevin Goehring, your Sacramento Stockton area realtor and lender here with this week's weekly real estate report. All right, so I talk a lot about the fact that I drive a lot. I just finished dealing with I have a new listing in Sonoma. I've got another one coming out in Valley Springs. So I spent a lot of time in my car, and let me tell you, I've been listening to radio, talk radio, the new commercial out there that says it is a good idea to do two things at once. You should always work with two lenders whenever you're applying for refinance or buying a home. I've been doing this 20 years now, folks. I can't think of a worse thing to tell somebody. And the only reason why I would tell somebody that is because, try to make this very simple, if lender A is really trying to stick it to you, they're going to come in high with a terrible rate and make a lot of money. Now, if you go to lender B and lender B, here's what they're charging you, and they're not very honest, they're going to come in just a little bit below, right? And still make really good money. So it's about trying to compare two grifters, right? Or two different companies trying to see how much they can get out of you. And I guess my advice to that is, if you don't trust the person you're working with, why are you working with them in the first place? And even if you want to double check, because it's always a good idea to double check, right? So you call up your favorite lender, hopefully that's me, and you get a fantastic rate. And well, you have to do some due diligence and you just want to know, am I getting a really good rate? Now, of course you can call around and ask other lenders, hey, what's your rate? Or can you beat this rate? And I promise you, no matter what rate you get, somebody can always say they're going to beat it. Now, whether they beat it or not is a whole nother thing, but somebody will always agree that they can to get your business, get all your documents, invest your time, get you locked in and go, oh man, I'm so sorry. Rates just went up. Well, I could have beat them, but what am I going to do? Right? So you can talk to your favorite lender, and you can go out on the internet without giving your social security number, without giving your information, without talking to anybody and looking at what is the average rate, right? You can go to Freddie Mac and look at the average rate. Fannie Mae, look at the average rate. You can go, one of my favorites is Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo is great at publishing their rates. Make sure you read the fine print because they will tell you how many points up front that rate is. But there are a lot of big lenders that actually will let you know what their rate is, and you can easily shop and compare within just a couple of minutes online and see if the deal that you're getting from your favorite loan officer is in fact a good deal. So be careful. I had somebody very recently there when I was saying, be careful with well, I'm just going to call my lender because, they know me. I've been dealing with, whoever, I don't want to throw out any names, XYZ lender. I've been making my payment to them for 3 years. They know me. No, they don't know you. And they're sometimes even the worst. I had somebody who actually was quoted a rate. I beat that rate by nearly 1%. All right. It was refi with the current lender versus what I could do, 1%. All right. So yeah, two things at once. Not the greatest idea. Hey, let's talk about something else. Let's move on to the chart because I've got so much to talk about with the chart. All right. Check this out here. The green line. Look at that. The amount of inventory is coming back, right? Not more than just a little over 5 weeks ago, we were down at under 2,000 homes. We are now over 2,500 homes on the market. But here's what's shocking me. Look at the pending sales. It is slowly declining, right? It's even just a little bit too early in a season for that decline. Usually we wait until after 4th of July, sometimes into August a little bit before we start seeing that decrease. Last year we saw that decrease start to happen almost in October. Go back a little bit more. We're looking again. In 8, 9, let me see, 10, there's October. It did decline in October. It started its real fall off. Go back one more year. We have a very definitive about this time of year. It really started to fall. So if we go back far enough, yes, it looks a little bit normal. Maybe it's going to look a little bit more like it did back here in 2018. We'll have to see. So the spread is declining. Maybe someday we're going to get back to, instead of an inverted where we have the green below the blue, we're going to get back to regular where the green is above the blue. All right, but let's look at the gold line, right? We still see the median home sales price just climbing. I can't wait to see what this number does this week after all of the data comes in, if it's going to be much higher, even lower. Still waiting to find out what that is. But all right, so here's some shocking things that are happening. Number one, The median sales price of homes listed still went up another $5,000 this week. So it was $585 last week, $595 median sales price of homes listed this week, right? Now, mind you, the like last week it was $585 for the median sales price of homes listed, but it was $575 for homes that sold. So there's kind of a disconnect there between what they're listing for and what they're actually selling for, which brings me to my next point. So let's talk about price reductions. In this crazy market, do you think there's a lot of price reductions going on? Well, you wouldn't think so, but here's a shocker. Price reductions. There were 636 price reductions this past week, and there are 2,562 homes on the market. So out of 2,500 homes, we're looking at 636 of them had a price reduction. That's 25% of the homes listed are seeing price reductions. Now, price reductions are nothing new. We see them all the time. That's just a shocking number, right? Which says that some of the agents, some of the home sellers, they're really overshooting what they think their home is worth, and buyers are just not showing up. And a lot of these price reductions are not happening after a long period of time. I'm seeing them after 7, 8, 10 days on the market, indicating that the home went through a weekend period and very few people showed up and no offers on the table. So interesting point. Let's talk about another huge number. Last week, I mentioned that there were 1,163, call it 1,200 homes went inactive, off the market. And this week, there's 761. Still a big number when I'm used to seeing, and I see stuff as much as 600. But, scrolling through the history, the average is going to be around 250. But that's if there's almost 5,000 homes on the market, right? So we've only got 2,500 homes where it's 761 of them went inactive. That's 30% went inactive. The big question there is why? What's going on? All right, so here's what I found out. 761 homes. I'll be honest, I'm not going to look at all of them. I looked at a dozen of them. I looked at the first dozen that came up, said, why did you take it off the market? And here's what I found. Most of them were either a rental or they were homes where there was a contingency where the seller was selling contingent on them finding a replacement home. So what do we take away from that? Number one, a lot of landlords are fed up with being landlords. This crazy state we live in where you cannot evict somebody for not paying you. And of course, you're going to lose your home if you, depending on that payment, to make your payment. Now your credit's trashed and the government's not going to fix your credit. They're talking about bailing out landlords now, but a little bit too late if you've already trashed your credit because you couldn't make your mortgage on your rentals, which is very common. So landlords are fed up. They want to get rid of their homes. They had them on the market, but looks like we're in for another eviction moratorium. Now, I will tell you, though, that there is a loophole that you can evict tenants for a sale under certain conditions. You have to call me on those and I can walk you through it. It's not that difficult. I've done it. All right. So they're either rentals or somebody wanting a replacement home and they're out there, they're shopping. They just can't find their replacement home because maybe the competition is too fierce. Also, it's always not the best idea if you're staying locally just to sell your house and then buy a house in this market. You don't want to sell high, buy high. You want to sell low, buy low. Sounds crazy, but it is. And it's all based upon taxes because the property taxes are based on what you pay for the house. So better to buy low. All right. Let's talk about rates, even though I kind of started with rates. Where did rates go this week? Well, Freddie Mac is reporting that the average 30-year fixed rate is now 3.02%. Big news that they went over 3%. Well, it's the average, and it barely went over 3%. And honestly, I'm locking of several clients well below 3. So if you've got good credit or you have good credit, if you are working with somebody who's willing to give you a good deal on the rate, you're actually doing what I said at the beginning and working with somebody you know and trust, you should expect right now, at least this week, something better than 3%. That's what I'm locking people at. So, all right. And of course, that has to do with fees and stuff like that are going to come into play. So make sure you get a proper fee estimate with the APR on that, which includes fees and stuff. So, all right, there's where rates are. Boy, if you want to talk about numbers climbing, we could talk about the heat that's coming. My goodness, I looked at the weather forecast for Fresno this week. I think it goes to like 108 and it stays there for all the way through the 10-day forecast. So if you're down in Fresno, is it going to be hot? Sorry about that. Well, maybe you like the heat. That's okay. So anyway, that's it for this week. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you here again next week. Take care. Bye.